Welcome to Art Apple NYC. We're in the heart of downtown, Little Italy. Right now we have a group exhibition with some of the youngest, hottest artists from New York City, mixed in with some of the masters of the art world. Got pieces from Salvador Dali, Miro, Pablo Picasso, Damien Hirst. Different artists all over the world coming together in one space. We like to bring the old and the new together, try to do something a little different. A lot of the people that, everyone else knows might not realize that there's so much cultivation that's happening in New York City. So we like to become the gap to bring those two worlds together. I'm born and raised Lower East Side, New York City, trying to be one of those forefathers that come from that same cloth from downtown, and kind of build that rapport with people so that they can understand what art still represents in New York, right? I can bring you over to my studio. So all my work is based in surrealism. Normally I make surrealist wall clocks to be someone that inspires or motivates you. So when you look at the person's face, it's like they're looking back when you look for time, help you do something iconic in your own life, right? But I also create these weird sculptures, whatever's in my mind's eye. So this is an actual armadillo that I turned into a taxi cab. This is taxidermy, right? So this is like a piece of a taxi cab mixed in with the iconic film Taxi Driver, right? I actually made all these milk crates as well, which is kind of like my homage to Brillo box from Andy Warhol. But this is a very, New York element. And then I did an edition of 96, so they're all signed editions with my own emblem in it. A Brillo box that I put a sledgehammer through. This is my war on pop art. Kind of playing off of the Andy Warhol Brillo boxes, but saying that just because he's able to create it, I'm part of that art history conversation that goes on. So putting a sledgehammer is a really intense act of intent to say that I'm part of that conversation as well as onslaught for it. This is a Salvador Dali melting clock, right? He used to paint these melting clocks, but I did that as a literal figure of my clocks as well. This is a filter for people to use on Instagram to become a clock themselves. Scan the QR code and it pops up and they can become a clock. My exhibition on Canal Street was completely running on QR codes, so it was contactless during the pandemic. You could come in and scan a clock and then it would just be shipped directly to you. That way you didn't actually have to interact with anybody. You could just come in and pick out what you wanted. My last exhibition I did with another artist was Xanax pillows. So these are all embroidered, hand cut, sewn Xanax bars. This piece I did for Frida Kahlo House in Miami. This is Love on a String. This is a paper mache heart that I created from scratch and then I sewed over and over continuously with one single string until it free floated in the middle. It's one of my favorite pieces. But it has some of that surrealist element to be able to see something in your mind's eye and create it in reality in front of you, right? This is actually made out of a working clock, so it looks like, like a time bomb, but they're figurines carved out of wax. So it has some male and feminine, energy involved in kind of playing off of time and the explosive energy that comes from a couple coming together. The gold brick that I created with 36, so there's some play on numerology. That's how many ounces in a brick, right? But also having gentrification in New York City, a brick represents so many different things. Even the Wizard of Oz, it's like the yellow brick road, right? So there's elements for what I use in my clocks is the gold dials, they're like my signature dials. But the idea that gold represents more value on the periodic table of elements than any other element, that we just equate to having more value than any other metal, right? So all of my work has layers of different symbolism or meaning behind them, and then stacked together they kind of create a whole nother ambiance to them. Don't mind the mess is kind of how my brain works any which way. There's just stuff scattered everywhere. I recreated all of Warhol's soup cans as necklaces I did 36. These are the last two that I have. This is Warhol already, but these are hand cut, laser etched, hand painted necklaces. And then this is a old Roman coin, and I could probably show you a little bit better with a flashlight here. You can actually see that's me on it.
Oh shit! Look up close.
Yeah. Different ideas, whether it really means something super important to each person or something more, sentimental to me. Even having something like can't change the stripes on a squirrel. This is my tiger squirrel, right? And being able to have these different strange ideas and just get them out to the world and let people kind of take them on as to what they think they might mean to. Because I think art is subjective. People just kind of pick up what they want from it, but also like there's intent behind that, right? So sometimes the clocks would represent, inspiration, motivation. Sometimes the art is just whatever it means to the person, and the process of creating is therapeutic for me as well as just like constructive to whatever I'm going through in my life at that time. So there's always just weird things that I've put together. This is a chalkboard that I did that's like a play on the treachery of images. That's the treachery of paintings. It says, bless this house and its heart so savage. Then I put myself in a clock. This is me trapped in a clock, trapped in time. And then this is a samurai sword that I made out of puzzle pieces.
Oh shit! It's puzzle pieces.
This one's
Yeah, this one's lit.
It's a sword of 1,000 puzzles. This is my proof of concept. So I'm actually gonna make this out of solid silver.
yeah.
Right, so these are just, sometimes it's just ideas that I'm getting out till I can get to the actual real idea that I want in the finished product. So even like this ring I made, this is John the Baptist head on a plate. And this is made out of solid silver. This was my AP before. I created the real one out of like, I put it in a marble ring case, imported from Italy, and then Renzo Gracie, like the Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist, came and got it actually. And I NFT'd that as well, but this took me like 10 years to make. So sometimes I can just create it on the spot, and sometimes it takes years. Persistence is key though, right? So it is just different ideas and works that I've created over the last like 6-7 years of having like an art career. I did music and film and graphic design for a really long time, but then art kind of like took over my life. So I tell people like do what you love until it takes over your life.